Hi everyone, my name's Olivia Estelle, and today I want to talk about discernment when it comes to spirit guides and entities. So, I have been working with a client, a very advanced client, and then I realized that I have so many of you all kind of working through the same thing. So many of my clients are asking the same questions, and so here I am taking to YouTube, talking about it so that we can really just get to the bottom of this based on my experience, based on the way that my spirit guides give it to me, based on the things I've been through, and based on how I see the different dimensions and how I work with them as a working psychic. So, really, the question the question that keeps getting posed to me is, so what happens if we are tricked? What if we think it's a spirit guide and it actually turns out not to be? It's actually an entity. So, for that question, really what I would say is it's exactly the same way as when you're first meeting a friend. So, think about what we do when we meet a stranger. We kind of put our best face forward. We reach out in a gesture to get to know them, like maybe let's go get coffee, let's get to know each other. And it's the same exact thing with spirit guides. Do you know them? Are you aware of them? And when we really know our guides, that's when we can't get tricked. But what happens so often is that psychic people, intuitive people, first come into this work and open themselves up, and they start kind of just talking to anybody. Maybe they do set the intention of, I want to meet a guide, but sometimes I have heard of people being like, anyone who's there, I'm open, come talk to me. And that isn't really the right the right intention to set for starting out, because psychic people cast a really wide net. We just do, and we're going to see everything. You're going to run the gamut, from the highest of the highs to the lowest of the lows, and that's just how it is as a psychic person. When your light is on, it can cause all kinds of beings to be attracted to you through the astral, all the different levels of the astral. And from there, it kind of depends on your frequency, but especially when you're starting out, it takes a second to get used to it. And so rather than coming out this with a tone of, oh, your frequency must be low, if you've been tricked before, there's more to it than that. Okay? That's not really always accurate. Sometimes it can be. And even if it is true, I would urge you not to feel shame about that. I would urge you not to go into, and what I'm seeing now is kind of like a lot of new age ego, like spiritual ego, where it's more like a competition. Well, oh, your vibe must have been low. And it's that sort of judgment that doesn't really belong in the work of spirit. It kind of belongs more in the world of the ego. So just we're really leaving the ego at the door here, and understand that if you have ever come upon a being that you thought was a guide and you were talking and you weren't sure, and then later on realized, oh wait, no, maybe not, it's almost like, it's exactly like meeting a friend where you sit down, hey, it's so nice to meet you, let's get coffee sometime. The first time you sit down, and it's just getting to know you, right? And usually the first time is awesome, and you might feel uplifted in their presence, right? Just like, these instances people have described with guides where they, at first it feels amazing, and then comes along the first red flag, right? And it's like, okay, I'm trying not to be judgmental, but in the area of spirit, I have seen that thought take down more people than anything, where no, I'm just trying not to be judgmental. When it comes to discernment, you do have to honor your red flags. Be like, oh, okay, that made me feel weird. And honor it. And not as a judgment, but as a discernment, right? And then as you continue, the proof will be in the pudding. If it's truly a guide, they're not going to tell you what to do. They're not going to boss you around. They really only just give like gentle directive, gentle sort of dreams and goals and kind of an energetic boost. That's really all that they do. And they'll give more concrete information based on where you are, and never anything that makes you feel cut down or told even really what to do. If when I come to my guides, like, what should I do here? I will feel inspirational downloads come in. I'm never told, well, you need to do this. You need to do that. It's never really that bossy, right? When the bossiness kind of starts coming in, that is a red flag. And that can be sometimes, especially if you have had a lot of either narcissistic abuse in the past, you've had, bossy mother, bossy father, you've had a lot of gaslighting as a child. Sometimes this happens as a way to show you kind of what you have given away your power to. And it's meant to kind of show, it's meant to kind of rearrange your ego so that you are sent back to your own power. It's meant to kind of teach you not to give your power away and to step into your own third chakra, into your own body, and be more embodied rather than giving it away to a spirit guide for answers or directions. Okay, because it can be a slippery slope sometimes, but when on the process of intuitive development, it is also the process of healing. The two are entwined. And so we have to understand that our healing journey is part of developing the intuition. So you can't really have one without the other. You can have a healing journey without the intuition development, but you cannot have the intuition development without the healing journey too. And so really anything that goes awry or anything that goes in a way that you weren't expecting is only meant to bring you back deeper into yourself, deeper into a state of autonomy, and higher and more healed, even if it hurts, like even if it's uncomfortable. Even, for example, I knew someone and they were like, oh yeah, I just realized that this was not a guide. Well, really, you should be really proud of yourself for discerning that and realizing, oh wait, the proof was there, the red flags kept coming, and you realized, oh, this person isn't giving, or this being isn't giving good advice. And what would you do if you were hanging out with, people, like a group, and suddenly they started doing something that you wanted no part of? You'd get out of there, right? You'd just leave. There would be no casting judgment. There would be no falling on the floor in shame, right? You would just remove yourself from the situation. Onward and upward, always, right? So there's no use in, but this is what happened, this is from my childhood kind of abuse, where I would kind of spiral. I would do a shame spiral, where then I would sort of punish myself thinking, oh, well, I must not have had, a high vibe. It must have been me. I must have attracted, dark entities. And that's where I want you to watch out for. I don't want your intuition development to be further punishment. It's a completely different dimension than what happened to us, as children. But what will happen is that our inner child will be given a voice. We'll start seeing the patterns that our inner child went through. And so it's good information to have. You're just collecting information. You're like, oh, interesting. So I am quick to give away my power, maybe. And then I go into shame spirals when I feel like my discernment isn't up to par, or I feel like my energy or frequency isn't up to par. And it's just good information to have. You can be neutral with that, because really what it's telling you is, here's an opportunity for me to look at something to heal. Here's an opportunity for me to understand what my inner child went through. This is what happened to me when I was a kid. I was forced to give away my power, and then I was shamed as a child. Right? And so these can be very eye-opening situations where it turns us into our own bodies, turns us toward ourselves, into our emotional body, into our emotions. How do I really feel about this? Right? It's a beautiful opportunity to do some inner child work and to feel some emotions that maybe have been suppressed since childhood. This is what intuition development is for. It is for helping us heal at a deep, sensitive, subtle level. And you're going to hit pockets of pain. You're going to hit things that don't feel good, that are going to be like, okay, I need a timeout. I need to cry about this. I need to take a beat. I need to take a break, from the work, to just really work through this and feel like, wow, I didn't know it was that bad when I was a kid. I didn't understand, what gaslighting was. All of these things are part of it. So I just wanted to put this out there as more of a heart-centered sort of way of looking at discernment and guides and entities, because really, once you've noticed, okay, that I don't think that was a spirit guide, all you have to do is just shift your focus upward. Okay, I'm here to meet my very highest and best, highest self, and go through your higher self, kind of go through yourself in this way. Honor yourself. Put your intention toward meeting your higher self. And then sit down with them for coffee. Have coffee, chats with your higher self first. Because once you get into the energy of your higher self, then they can start introducing you to other guides and other energies that are a part of you. But it's kind of going to be through the filter of your higher self. And that is just one way to do it, really. You can always, set the intention of, who are my guides? I want to see you. And it's usually you're going to want to set that intention through the heart, through a feeling of excitement, uplifting, inspirational sort of energy. And that's what's going to really pull and magnetize you in to the beings that are for your highest and best good. If you're feeling afraid, if you're feeling a little paranoid, if you're feeling worried about this work, that's not the best energy to go into meeting guides with. It just means that those feelings, the fear, are pointing you to something that needs to be healed. And focusing there first is going to be the best for your intuition development. And just know that your higher self is there with you, whether you see them clairvoyantly or not, right? The energies of the Christ, the energies, of God are always with you, whether you are discerning them or perceiving them or not. And you can always ask them for help and feel into it and feel into your healing, because that is going to be the block to intuition development. And so that is going to be where you're going to want to start. And once you see the block, just be grateful. Be like, okay, there's that, there's that childhood issue or whatever it is. And then focus there. Take that to, healers or therapists or wherever you kind of need to go for support, or meditate on it and really feel it. Feel it fully is a really good way to kind of pull that energy through, because on the other side of it is going to be more clarity. Okay? And sometimes these things are so big that we're not meant to do it alone, and that's okay. Truly. And all of this to say that eventually what is going to happen is you're going to have, if you're meditating and you're looking and you're asking, I'm wanting to see my higher self, I'm wanting to meet my guides, what is going to happen is that you're going to have a bright light, and you're going to have like a being just pop in and just instantly lift your mood. You're going to feel so lifted, and yet also centered and grounded after your communication. My guides make me feel more grounded, more stable, more centered, as well as lifted. Okay, so It shouldn't make you feel ungrounded, or really like "Ugh," afterwards. It shouldn't pull you up into the head with lots of like mental activity or ideas. It should be a really stabilizing force, and it can give you ideas and inspiration. But just know that you're looking for a balanced energy here. And anywhere that there are imbalances, it's just good information to have. You can kind of use that to work on healing those pockets of pain, and then keep going and then go forward. And just know that no being can trick you without your participation, without your giving away your power to them. And so we're not giving away our power to spirit guides. We are holding just the intention to align to higher versions of ourselves. And that's really what this whole work is. It's really why I do this work with intuition development, because if we can align our energy with the divine, that is an intuitive force, that is psychic ability, that will pull us into higher and higher spiritual journey, spiritual feelings, and that is healing too. And so it creates a beautiful sort of path that we just each day walk down. And this is why I usually start in my trainings with meditation. Start with meditation so that we can kind of clear that path and just walk down it every day. And and the fact that we're not really here to walk down this path alone. We're here, we're here with God and with our angels and with our guides. And so that's why I like the idea of connecting to spirit guides. But there is the truth of discernment. There is always discernment on the spiritual path. And it has to do with you being able to honor yourself and being able to stay autonomous and in your power, and honoring that your discernment is you matter, your discernment matters. You can say no, you can walk away, and there's no guilt to that. Also, a lot of us have had either abuse as a child where there was codependence and we weren't allowed to create boundaries, say no, or walk away, or otherwise there's lots of guilt. And so that is part of this too. This work will bring up all of kind of the unhealed old childhood stuff, right? But on the other side of that, once we've really seen it, once we know about it, then we can really align to our highest self, our highest version of ourself. And all that does is take us deeper into our big dreams. It takes us, I talk about this a lot, it takes us into what we are passionate about, what we are here for, what we want to do on this earth. It takes us more deeply into our purpose, okay? So this isn't about being selfless service all the time, to something outside of ourselves. This is about coming more deeply into our bodies, knowing how we feel, knowing where the trauma lies, honoring our inner child, honoring ourself in the highest way, and then being aided by our guides, angels, and higher self in order to more fully embody our birthright, which is our intuitive abilities and our sensitivity. Okay? So I hope this helps. I hope this makes sense. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please ask me any questions that you have. I'd be happy to answer them. And I will see you next time. Bye.